Hey, y'all, welcome to this episode of Profitology with your friend Perry Jeffries, the podcast where we cover the numbers, the systems, and the strategies that entrepreneurs need to know in order to generate and maintain profit, not only in their business, but also in their family and their finances. So, thank you for joining us today. You haven't met me before. I'm Perry, known as the Entrepreneur CFO. I'm the president of Diamond Equity Advisors, a full-service investment advisory firm located here in Columbus, Ohio, specializing in cash management for businesses and retirement planning for individuals. So we're known as the Cash Flow Concierge Company, and we have clients across the country. Our vision at Diamond Equity Advisors is to close the wealth gap one business at a time. So before we get started, y'all, I always like to share a thought of the day. And today's thought of the day is about relationships. So a good friend of mine, Dathan Lumpkins, big shout out to Dathan, texted me the other day, and we're both in the financial service industry, but we've been friends and even lived with each other almost 20 years ago. And he shared with me some scripture. So I'm not going to go through the entire scripture, but what it came down to saying was, relationships are the primary currency in business. So a lot of times we think about business, it's all about, hey, I need to make some money. Hey, I need more profit. I need to improve my cash flow, right? But ultimately, God's currency is relationships, and that's the same way with business. So if you think about your business is a reflection of how well you grow and build relationships with people. So a lot of times we get so focused on the dollars. Never forget, y'all, that it comes down really to the people. If I'm an advisor or if I'm a CFO, my business means zero if I don't have any clients. And that's a relationship, right? So I want to share that with you. I thought it was just fitting as we continue on this month to highlight other entrepreneurs. So if you don't know and haven't heard us say this before, one of our core values at Diamond Equity Advisors is becoming what we call an ecosystem engineer. So what that simply means is that we believe in the concept or the ideology that if we help others win, we'll always win by default. So we want to create an environment where we're helping our clients win in whatever way we can help them win. And that's what we've been really focused on here recently. So with that being said, we have one of our clients joining us, here recently. Was it this year or last year? The pandemic got me all jacked up, Chris. So I'm trying to think about when you first came on board as a client. But
January.
Was it January? Okay, yeah. So been with us now for 9 months and just has a phenomenal story to share. But we have our client joining us, Crystal Allen, who's a cosmetologist, known as the trichologist, also a health coach and a researcher. So Crystal, thank you for joining me on this episode, sister. I just love your spirit. I love working with you. You're a pleasure to work with. And I just absolutely love your story and the things that you've been able to do here. So before we get started, introduce yourself to folks, like tell us who you are, tell us what you do.
All righty. My name is Crystal Allen. I'm the owner of Full Circle Hair Restoration Center. I've been in the industry, the cosmetology industry, for 30 years. And I am a trichologist, so I help individuals that suffer from scalp disorders and various forms of alopecia, which is hair loss. And so I'm excited to be here with you today.
No doubt. Crystal, where are you from originally?
Columbus, Ohio.
Are you from
here.
Columbus? Okay, cool.
Yes, Linda McKinley. I'm a Panther.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Big shout out to Linda McKinley in the building.
Yes,
no doubt.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, we want to definitely learn a little bit more about your business here, but let's kind of start here. So been in business 25 plus years, if I heard that correctly.
Yes, 30 years.
30 years, geez. So a lot of businesses don't even last 5 years, let alone 30 years, right? So we look at the stats, 83% of businesses fail, and the majority of those fail within the first 5 years. How have you been able to stay in business like 3 decades? Like, what's the secret sauce on this? Like, what can you share with us here?
Well, like you said, relationships. And so, a lot of my clients I've been doing for, decades, for a long period of time. So we've really experienced, grown together. And so, there's a relationship more than just, a client hairstylist, type relationship. So I think that's really the biggest thing, is just the relationships that we've been able to develop over the years.
That's amazing. So, like, kind of tying in with our thought of the day, relationships,
Yeah.
which something that you said that just immediately struck me there is we've grown together.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been in my industry 17 years now as an advisor or CFO, or however folks want to call me these days. And to your point, I think one of the things that when I look back on my business that touches me the most is when I see a client who's been with me like 15, almost 20 years, and we've grown together. They've grown with
Right.
me through different firms.
Yep.
I've seen them grow from having a dollar to the name to having seven figures in the account, right? And it's just, that growing together is just so key. Um, what would you say, like, what would you tell somebody who's listening to this podcast about relationships? Because for you to have maintained relationships over that period of time, you're doing something right. And I think a lot of people are stepping out here in entrepreneurship. They don't really understand this piece yet. So, like, what are some just tips off the top of your head there as far as building and maintaining on those relationships? What would you say?
Well, one, being a good listener.
Mm,
So, really being able to listen to your clients and, find out exactly what their needs are, and then building upon that. Communication is
mm,
very important, and just, the accountability piece. So, I mean, there's so many different uh, things that really go towards building that relationship, but trust,
mm,
respect,
mm.
um, and then just, really being there for the clients. And so, of course, being a hairstylist, they say we're lawyers, we're doctors, we're counselors, we're
Facts.
we're
Absolute facts.
a little bit of everything. So, really is the client being able to trust us,
Yeah, I love.
knowing that whatever, they share with us, they don't have to worry about, us sharing their information with somebody else. So I think that's really going to be important.
Love it.
Confidentiality.
Yeah, love it. So I was taking my notes here. So one, the communication and being a good listener. Well, let's start with the good listener because good listening skills allow us to identify, to your point, the needs of the client, right?
Right.
So not talking over them, but being able to listen, and so you can really be crystal clear on what they need. Because really, that's
Right.
what business is for us: is identifying a need that a client has, and then bringing forth a solution.
Right.
The communication, which is back and forth, the accountability. I really like that one, Crystal. The accountability. So, hey, we're going to hold you accountable to this. This is what your, system requires from a hair standpoint. We're going to make
Right.
sure we have these appointments to make sure you're together. Trust and respect, and just being there for your clients. Now, I haven't been in business as long as you have, but that looks like a pretty good recipe for growing a pretty successful business right there. Being there for your clients, building that trust and respect, accountability, communication, and being a good listener. So that's amazing. So something you said here that cracked me up a little bit because it's the absolute truth. Your hairstylist and your barber end up being your psychologist, your therapist, right? And I don't know what it is about sitting
All
in
of
that
the
chair
above.
that you just start spilling all the beans. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, this is what I'm going. I don't know. It's something magical about the chair. No doubt
Right.
about that. But tell us a little bit about what you do, because we had you listed here on the cosmetology side, but I know kind of your branding is being a trichologist. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay. So what is trichology? Because it's one of the things I asked you when we first started working with each other. So what is that?
Right. So it's the scientific and biological study of scalp disorders and hair loss. And so, with that, again, we're able to help our clients that have various scalp disorders, whether it's dandruff, psoriasis, eczema, things like that. We're able to, help them find a solution to that. And then we're also able to help clients that have various forms of hair loss. And so, with that can be very traumatic,
Yeah.
a lot of emotions that go with that. So we're able to help them find a solution to their problem and, to help them solve it. So
Yeah.
it's totally different, in my opinion, than the cosmetology side, because with these people, you're able to give confidence back.
Yeah.
You're able to help with their self-esteem and things like that when they're dealing with that hair loss. So that's really a good focus of mine right now.
So let's talk about that a little bit because I think that's really important. Your space isn't just, hey, let me get in a chair and get my hair did. Like you're coming from a scientific perspective
Right.
and helping. And is this men and women with the hair loss that you're running,
Yes.
that you're dealing with? I gotcha.
Yes.
So help the men and women who are losing their hair. And I can imagine that could definitely be traumatic for folks. From an appearance standpoint, because a lot of
Right.
your self-esteem is in there. So I'm going to dive into this just a little bit because I think this is really important. With your clients and us diving into just the whole self, like how important is that to them? Like I can only imagine how important that is to have a solution around that. Just speak to that a little bit because I think that's really huge that people really need to understand about that when it comes to your business and what you offer. Just speak to a little bit of about the confidence that you see clients, or tell us a story that you helped a client, not names or anything like that, but just
Right.
maybe a situation where you help somebody with this whole self-esteem and a confidence issue.
Yeah, so I've worked with many clients. So one of my clients, young lady, and had a lot of thinning, and so with that, different topicals that she was using to try to cover it up, and so not really a lot of confidence, not doing a lot of dating and things like that, and so we
Yeah.
were able to customize a system for her where it looks exactly like the hair growing out of her scalp. We match the scalp color. It's pretty amazing what we're able to do with this system. And so since she's gotten it, she's now dating and, just able to, feel confident about herself, about her appearance and things like that. So that's what, brings me joy. So it's not just about giving somebody a nice hairstyle, but when you're able to help someone that doesn't have hair, and I mean it's just a total different
No doubt.
outcome. So you bring, when she's crying, I'm crying. We just because you're
Yeah.
able to give them life, without compromise again, especially if they work in corporate America, or with their
Yeah.
jobs, they're in front of a lot of people. That can be just a level of stress there, wondering, okay, is my area covered up, can they see it? So to be able to give them a solution where they don't have that stress anymore, they're able to be confident and not worry about it, is pretty amazing.
That's dope. So again, I'm taking my notes here. You said, and you covered in that small amount of time, Crystal. There are so many gems in there. I'm taking my notes, and I hope I can get to all of them here. So the first note I took was I love about the confidence and the self-esteem. So this is not just about a hairstyle, right?
Right.
But when you have kind of what's the saying, when you look good, you feel good type deal, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And then when we start thinking about things as far as the law of attraction, so if you look good, you feel good, you have that confidence, you can attract success and things of that nature. But it's not just, hey, let me get a
Right.
hairstyle. It's,
Right.
man, this improved my dating life, improved my confidence in the boardroom, improved, not like that's really, really major.
Right.
But the combination of words you put together here is what I almost jumped out my seat here. You create a customized system, right?
Hmm.
Customized system. So I'm gonna say that one more time for the listeners, y'all. A customized system. So if we take this from Crystal and apply that to our businesses, I think this creates kind of like the win-win factor. Like it's hard
Hmm.
to lose when your solution, when you've done a good job, as Crystal said earlier, being a good listener, identifying the needs, and when you can create a customized system, you can create a win. So we break down that word customize, not cookie cutter, right?
Right.
Not cookie cutter, not like, hey, this is the system I threw in so-and-so's head. Let me throw it in your head and see how I do. No, like we custom, you like you got to color the scalp together, the hair, everything looks supernatural. So it was customized, right?
Right.
So that customization is key. And that's with any business. If you can provide a solution that's customized, your clients really appreciate that because they know they're not just a number. They're not just another person in the chair or another person in the office. Hey, this is what's for me. But then the system is when I'm like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. So when you think about that system, I always reference a John Maxwell quote that says, systems allow ordinary people to achieve extraordinary things predictably. And
That's
it's
good.
so important. Yeah. So
That's
a
good.
system, whether we're talking about a system in athletics or the system, you know what I'm saying, of your car engine or whatever the case may be, systems allow us to, you know what I'm saying, just achieve extraordinary results. So what you're doing is providing that customized system is amazing. And then the piece that you said that really resonated with me as well is the joy. It's not the joy in just getting something in somebody's head, but that end product. And that end product is that emotion, right? I've cried with clients, right? I've had clients cry with me, and you know, I could definitely see a client, you know what I'm saying, crying with you, Crystal, like, girl, thank you so much. It's just right. When a client cries to me about their money, like those are real tears.
Right.
Those are real tears. Like, but what it is, yeah, I may manage money or give advice as a CFO, but that's not really what I'm helping the client do. I'm helping provide peace of mind so that they can have a business that's profitable and they're able to go on and do the other things that, you know what I'm saying, they want to do, you know what I'm saying, as far as with friends and family and providing for kids and all of that nature. So entrepreneurs, as you're listening to this, take this lesson definitely from Crystal as well, is that what the service you're providing is probably having more impact than you realize. And when you find joy in not that first level, but that second, third, or fourth level where you're, you know what I'm saying, helping a client in such a way that, you know, they're bringing tears to their eyes or whatever the case may be, you know, you're doing something amazing. So Crystal, there's no wonder you've been doing this for like 30 years. Okay. So with respects to like as you're growing your business, right? So let's address the elephant in the room here. We're in the middle of a pandemic, right? Crazy. So when this thing first hit us in March, we had just started working with each other, and it was like, I'm shut down. It was like, I'm shut down. And so we're scrambling, and we're like, okay, well, let's do this, and let's talk about just how the pandemic impacted your business. And then if you want to share kind of like the pivots that you've had to make. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Well, we were shut down on March 18th. And so I was closed for 10 weeks. And so, yeah. So in that time, like I said, we started working together in January. And so if I hadn't started working with you, I don't know if I would be open today.
Wow.
Because just that quick from January to March 18th, the systems that you had in place that you were able to share with myself and my bookkeeper, we were able to, you know, navigate, you know, the finances in a way that, you know, we were able to stay afloat. And so that was the biggest thing, just having you there with the bookkeeper and, you know, what you all were doing.
Big shout out to big shout out to Debbie. Big shout out to Debbie. That's our girl.
So for the financial piece, you know, that was major, you know, where we didn't miss a beat. You know, we didn't miss a beat. And then, you know, we were able, because of the foundation, we were able to secure a loan through ECDI. We were able to do that. And so that was able to, you know, help us to make sure that we could maintain payroll and things like that, pay all of the bills. And so it was just truly a blessing to have a good foundation in place that, you know, really helped us to not stress as much as we could have.
Yeah. Let's build on that a little bit more, because I know that's obvious. That's actually the kind of the topic of our conversation here, right? Is, you know, having, you know, starting off with a solid foundation. So you said something here, and I want to make sure it didn't go over people's heads. Because of the foundation you had, you were able to secure some financing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Expound on that a little bit more when you say because of the foundation that you had. What do you, I think I know what you mean, but I'd rather, you know what I'm saying, you kind of share it with us here.
So we started working
Mm-hmm.
with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so just, making sure, which I didn't know this before we started working with you, having the different accounts,
Gotcha. Yep.
for our money and transferring, the correct amount of money over to the different
Yeah.
accounts and things like that. Knowing which debts were, most important to pay off first, and,
Yeah.
making sure, the taxes are in order. I mean, just everything,
Got it.
and so for me, like I tell my assistant all the time, I've been in the industry, but as far as the business side of it, I didn't really learn that in cosmetology school. They didn't really have a strong business portion in the curriculum. And so I've gone many years without a solid foundation. But,
Mm-hmm.
having that in place, it really it made a huge difference,
That's
because we
fire
had
right
something
there.
to follow.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had something to follow.
So big takeaway, entrepreneurs or non-entrepreneurs, even just, folks who aren't entrepreneurs. What Crystal was talking about is our past program, and we're not going to talk about that because you can get information on that later. But what she's saying is having your finances in order allow her to get easily approved for additional finance for the business, because she could show her business on paper and it looked good on paper. And so many entrepreneurs, businesses, if we looked at it on paper, it's like, what's happening right now? Like,
Right.
what's going on? So because we was able to put those systems in place so dang on quick, you had that solid foundation that you could go and acquire additional funding. So
Right.
y'all, your business got to look good on paper. I tell people all the time, if your business don't look good on paper, it's not good. If it don't make sense
Right.
on paper, it ain't gonna make sense in real life. So that's amazing right there. Now, something you said right here, which resonated with me, Crystal, was you had been in the industry for years,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't have a business foundation. And I'm gonna
Right.
keep it totally 100 with you. And everybody knows I believe in transparency because I believe that's how we all learn. I've been a licensed stockbroker advisor since, investment advisor since 2003. So 17 years in the game. And one of the biggest things I learned when I went independent in 2014 was I didn't understand business. I understood how to invest money. I
Right.
understood retirement accounts and insurance, but I didn't understand the back end of the business, which
Right.
I think is kind of mind blowing for some people because they think financial advisor means that we're just all business whizzes. Absolutely not. I know a ton of broke financial advisors. Trust me on that. Because just because you can give good recommendations, don't
Right.
mean you're running your business in the back, right?
Right.
So that's to hear you say that, I was like, yeah, me too. So that's why I'm able to provide some really good advice, because I jacked up my business because
Oh,
I had to go and learn
absolutely.
this stuff right super quick. So
Absolutely.
what would you tell like someone starting out, or even not even starting out, because you have been doing this for years before we hooked up? How important is it to have that foundation? Like, what would you tell somebody? Like, what should they, whether they're starting their business today, where they've been in business 15, 20 years, why is it important to have that foundation?
Because the foundation will allow you to maintain your business and to stay in business. If your sound foundation is not solid, if you're building on quicksand, that joker is going to sink. And so
ASAP, it's going to sink quick.
yes, you have to have that solid foundation. And I've worked for many years without it. I'm just truly blessed that I was able to stay afloat. But yeah, you have to be solid. So to have your bookkeeper,
Yep.
to have your attorney, your accountant, your just everything that you need. Because for me, just let me stand behind the chair and take care of the client's hair. All of that other stuff, as far as the business, I was trying to do it all, and I'm not that's not what I specialize in at all. And so I was doing a disservice to my business. And
Well,
so
you preaching now. You preaching now. You preaching now. Hold on
and
now.
so it didn't really happen until I would say the early part of 2018 when I started just like, okay, Crystal, you have to make some major changes. And so, that's when I started seeking out, asking, okay, who do I need for this? Who do I need for that? And so it just started to fall into place. And so now I have a nice team that handles where I can focus on what I love to do, and that is working with my clients. I don't have to focus on all the other areas that yeah. So make sure you have a solid team that you trust and that has your best interests at heart.
Not so you preaching right now. You're like, we could just drop the mic, we could drop the headset now, but like, if y'all didn't get that, we're done. It was so couple things here as I'm taking my notes. Team. So not to get into all of our personal doings, but you mentioned about having a bookkeeper. We have Debbie as our bookkeeper, and y'all, let me tell you how solid Crystal's team is. Debbie and I have had meetings without Crystal being present.
Right.
So while she's doing what she does best, being behind the chair, building those relationships with her clients, her bookkeeper and her CFO were meeting and saying, hey, are we crystal clear here? Set this account up here, turn left, turn right. And we were working on her behalf. So I think that's a challenge that a lot of business owners are like, I have to do it all on my own, on my own, right? And you said it best, right? Having a team is super important. And if I have here quoted, you were doing a disservice to your business by trying to do everything yourself, because I don't care how sharp you are. You got to have those second set of eyes looking over your shoulder, helping you to turn left and right, because we all have those blind spots. I myself, I have my team. We're built up now to about five people now, right? Probably going to be going to 6 here shortly. But having that team, you hit that nail on the head. So why is it that us as entrepreneurs just like you, because you went a long time. You said up to about 2018 or so. Right. You went a long time without having a team. So why? So because I think if we can help maybe folks understand that we all think the same way. Don't get me wrong. I can do it on my own. I figured out on my own. And I one time had somebody ask me, Crystal, they said, Perry, what was the biggest mistake you made as a financial advisor? My response to them was not having a financial advisor. And they looked at me like, what? When you're in the business or looking at your personal finances, it is almost impossible for you to take your own emotion out of the equation. You got to have those other people looking. So you mentioned having a bookkeeper. You have me as a CFO. You have your accountant. You have these team of professionals working with you behind the scenes so that you can do what you're good at. You know what I'm saying? What your God's gift is, right? Why do people go about doing these things by themselves? Why do you think that is? Because both of us have done it. Why do people do that?
For one, we're so busy working in the business, we don't take time to, get those systems in place because, we're so busy hands-on. And so we don't take that time. And then we don't want to spend the money.
Don't want to spend the money.
Don't want to spend the money, or either we don't have the money to spend because we've been mismanaging it ourselves. So either way, we don't have it or we just don't want to spend it. And then just, for me, not really knowing what a solid team looked like, not having that, business knowledge of what my business needed. And so, yeah. So I think a lot of times if you don't know, you don't know. But then once you know, you got to make the adjustments and do better.
That's a good word right there. So I get hey, I don't want to spend the money because everybody like, I just figured I'm doing it on my own. What's a DIY, do it yourself? That DIY works with some stuff, but when it comes to your health and your finances, you better make sure you get a team because those things you don't want to mess up on. You don't have the money. because you spent it, you know what I'm saying, or you're mismanaging the funds. So you probably have the money, but it's so mismanaged, it's tucked in there, and you have no idea what you have because you don't know how much money you're making anyway. But this one right here is the one we're going to focus on a little bit here. You don't know what you don't know. Like, if you don't know what a business team looks like, you just don't know, right? Man, this is probably going to be a really good topic for maybe a future episode or whatnot. But how did you go about trying to find out what a good team was? You mentioned earlier you start asking questions or whatnot, but you've been able to build a pretty solid team. How did you go about building your team?
Talking to clients, you know, that have businesses, and so they would share. And then you know, working on my credit, Chandrita. So she
big shout out to Chandrita. Credit connoisseur in the building.
Yes, ma'am. She would mention you. And so she was like, look, if y'all have a business, y'all need to let Perry get his eyes on it. And so I did that. And so I just started, you know, following when I see successful people, when they're doing things, I was like, okay, well, if they're doing it and it's working for them, let me try it. So, you know, I started, when I hear the recommendation, I start researching and I go and try to make it happen for myself. So,
love that.
So that's how I started doing it. So asking a lot of questions. And so that's how I found my assistant, who has been my, oh my goodness, my saving grace.
You better say that. You better say that. We just hired a new one. It's like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, trying to do it all of myself, it was just too much. And so many things were falling through the cracks. Yeah. And so once you have that team, hey, it's nothing like it. Saves a lot of headache.
So let me ask this question, because you mentioned it earlier, right? Not spending the money. Why do you think us as entrepreneurs, because, you know, granted, I mean, we're grinding, but at some point in time, you have to say, you know what, I'm going to make the investment in this. I'm going to invest in this service, or invest in this person, or invest in my credit, my CFO, my bookkeeper. What would you kind of tell some of the entrepreneurs out there who are just hoarding on to that money and afraid to invest? Like, what would you tell them with respects to your experience? Because everybody you hire is going to be different, right? So, you know, we always talk about ROI, but what would you tell those entrepreneurs who are just hoarding that money and don't want to invest?
Well, I know for me, it was pride.
Wow.
Because I didn't want people to know how raggedy my business was. And so, you know,
preaching
like,
today.
I'll just keep it to myself. You know, I don't want to let people in. And so you can have the money, but it's like, okay, my goodness, if I tell them, then they're going to know that I really don't know what I'm doing. So a lot of it for me was pride.
Man, sis, I bet you ain't the only one. I think that might be 90% of us, because, you know, I've been there too. Like, it's kind of like going to the doctor. The only way I think that's probably the reason some folks don't go to the doctor too. It's like, man, I don't want them to see everything I've been doing bad, and I got to disclose everything. I'm smoking Black and Miles and drinking, you know, Long Island iced tea every day, right? You got to disclose that stuff, right?
Right.
Man, that's huge, y'all. So if y'all don't take anything away from this, y'all, don't let pride be a roadblock from you and success. You got to let that thing go. And I'll even share this, and kind of going back to our whole ecosystem engineers. We're all in this thing together, right? It's not like my business is A1 perfect. I'm learning things all the time as well, right? And fortunately, I'm learning things, and then I can reach back and tell my clients and share with my clients, like, hey, this is what we're going to do now, or XYZ. So y'all, from a pride standpoint, don't let pride be the thing that's stopping you from taking your business forward, because best believe, after you peel, you know what I'm saying, lift up the hood, and all of these folks out here talking about, oh, we're making 7 figures, or blah, 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 we're making 6 figures. When you lift up the hood, we're all the same, right? You know what I'm saying? All the same in some way, shape, or form. So I just kind of want to share that with you, because I think you're absolutely right about that pride. Oh no, I can do it myself. Oh no, but I don't want to let people to see it. So that's huge there. Oh my goodness. All right. So as we continue to highlight your business here, Crystal, because you have just blessed us with crazy gems. I got my notes here and just super excited about it. As you're growing your business, how are you looking to grow your business? So who are your ideal clients? Who do you serve? Like who are your people? Like who's your tribe? Who are you trying to help?
So men, women, children with
Mm-hmm.
scalp disorders and hair loss. So,
Mm-hmm.
from my youngest client, I believe is 8 years old.
Really?
And she has alopecia universalis, so complete body hair loss now. And so my oldest client is 96 and I serviced her today. So there's a wide range
Wow. From
of,
8 to
of
96?
yes, because I mean, even being that young, 8 years old, to lose your hair, to have hair one day and within a 3-month period of time lose all of your hair,
Oh, bless that baby.
that
Yeah.
affects the emotion and everything from that young. And then my 96-year-old, even though she's 96, she still wants to look her best.
Yeah.
So from 8 to 96, everyone in between. So we work with everyone. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
So that's the ideal client. So anyone with scalp disorders and hair loss that
Got
would
it.
like to get a solution to their problem.
Gotcha. A customized system.
A
A customized
customized,
system. Yes,
yes,
indeed. Yes,
it's not
indeed.
a one size fits all. So yes, we customize it to the individual.
That's what's up. And understand, y'all, Chris has been doing this thing 30 years. Her expertise and her results speak for themselves. So this is not somebody trying to learn as they go. She is a expert in her particular space. So definitely check her out, refer if you have some, a family member or friend who's in need of the services or need of a consultation. Make sure you reach out to Crystal. We have her contact information here, and Crystal will have you share your stuff here soon. But I'm real big, y'all, on just promoting good people. Like
Right.
if we go back to the beginning of this conversation and we talk about what you do, but the joy in helping somebody regain that confidence and that self-esteem, which then parlays into relationships, business, just that whole gambit. And if she's been doing this 30 years, y'all, with clients who've been with her for decades, she's doing a good job. So that's what's up. So as we close this thing out here, Crystal, we started off talking about business and being a good listener and communication and accountability and things of that nature. Leave us with another gem. What would you tell the entrepreneur? Like if you had to leave them with a couple of thoughts, what would you share with them?
Wow. Um, you have to put your time in. Um, it's going to take time. It does not happen overnight. So, don't get frustrated. Don't give up. You have to, put the time in. And so don't be too hard on yourself. You're going to make mistakes. And, but we fall down, but we get up. So when you make a mistake, hey, you can recover from it. So, just really not to be too hard. Don't be too hard on yourself. And,
No doubt.
You get a good team around you, hey, it will all work out. It all work out. Yeah.
Love that, sis. Love that. All right. How can people connect with you? How can they find you? How do you want people to reach out to you?
So my website is fullcirclehrc.com. So they can go on there and there's a link where they can put in their information and we will reach out to them to get them scheduled or whatever the case is there. Phone number is 614-419-1313. And then our email address is fullcirclehrc@gmail.com.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, y'all, there you have it. So this is coming from a 30-year vet. It's like folks don't even stay in business 5 years, let alone 30 years. So I'm thankful to have you on here, Crystal, because I haven't been in business that long. So I'm taking my notes too. I got my Crystal Allen notes here. Like, okay, make sure you stay focused on here, P. So I appreciate you for just joining us. Definitely appreciate the gems that you drop. I know somebody's going to benefit and be blessed from it. Thank you too for being a client while we were growing our business and things of that nature. Always just truly appreciate our clients. And with that, y'all, we'll close out this episode of Profitology with Perry. The ecosystem engineers, where we're highlighting folks in our network, our clients, our friends, and our family, and continue just to add value to the marketplace, y'all. So thank you for joining us. Make sure you reach out to Crystal or refer if you have a friend or family member who needs her services, and continue to love each other. So with that being said, sis, thank you so much, mama.
Oh, thank you.
We'll talk to you here soon.
Thank you. All righty.
All
Have a
right,
good
y'all.
one.
Peace.